Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Caffeine and Sensu Beans podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Chiwin, and we have a special guest today. We have our friend Lalito joining us. He is a Dragon Ball GT savant, so we expect him to carry this episode. How you doing, man? How do you feel
Oh,
joining us?
I feel good, man. Very happy to be here. It's my
Yeah.
dream come true, you know.
to be on the Caffeine and Sensu Beans podcast. You made it.
Oh, of course, you know. I told my wife, I woke up this morning. I told my wife, baby, you know,
We made it. Yeah.
we made
Quit your job. We we did it.
it.
uh, well, it's good to have you, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. How
man.
you guys
Thank you for
doing?
coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. No, we're good. Or at least
I'm
I'm
doing
good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It was.
finally I finally made it back home, man. So it's been
Oh
good.
man,
It's
Oh
good back
yeah.
to sleep in my own bed, and I'm finally here. So
I
yeah,
know,
that's
dude. We
crazy.
were when there were times where we would be recording at your in-law, or like you would be recording from your in-laws and the internet would be nice and I would see it, like,
yeah,
but we would just have to go through, we just have to stick it out, you know what I'm saying? Like, we just gotta hold tight and hope that the session doesn't crash. um but that was funny. But yeah, man, you feel good to be back, feel good to be back at the crib.
yeah. I mean, it's just different. You know what I'm saying? I think just the vibe when you're at your own home. I think it's just a different vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like it, yeah, it just feels different. But um, yeah, I'm kind of happy that I'm back home.
Yeah, for sure. And
How are you?
I'm good. Had my baby shower yesterday. That was fun. But tiring. I woke up, my voice is a little gone, so if it if my voice sounds a little fucked up during the podcast, I apologize, but it's because of that. But yeah, I'm good, dude, just waiting. We have about, or at least I have about a month and a half left before the baby comes. And we're just kind of getting everything ready. Today I'm gonna put the car seat in the car. Uh and so yeah, man. Doing
Hey, how you feeling, bro?
How am I feeling? I'm feeling good. I feel ready. I feel like I'm excited. But then, that's kind of that. I talk to people who are already parents and they're like, they look at me kind of like, like this guy he doesn't know what he's in for, at
That's
least those
funny.
first few months.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I talk to people who aren't parents and they're like, dude, you're not scared. Like, yeah, I could feel the anxiety, like coming, coming out from their pores, and I'm like, no, I'm not scared. I feel good, ready. And then, but I know, especially those first few months, it's gonna be a ride. I mean, that's what everyone tells me. Like, forget getting sleep. You're not gonna get any sleep, especially those first few months. So I'm trying to gear up. uh, but I'm excited. I am
Yeah,
excited.
that's what's I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think we're also in the process of we're signing the contracts and everything, making sure that my needs and wants are fulfilled. You know, when the baby comes with my wife.
Wait,
So
Wait,
we're putting
you're
everything on the
expecting a
table.
baby too?
you're
No, no,
expecting
no,
it? Oh,
nah.
what?
Oh,
We're
okay.
we're
What?
we're still in the contract. We're still doing the
Oh, you're still in
contract.
the what
Yeah,
contract
Oh,
are you
oh, you're
talking about?
okay. This is the negotiation process. I
Oh,
see.
okay,
negotiation
got you.
process. Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
my wants and needs.
Okay.
So
Well, I hope you
hey
strike a
man,
deal.
yeah,
we're gonna play this episode back to your wife that this is what you're talking about on the podcast about a contract.
Yeah.
no, I'm not discussing. I can't
Normally
discuss
that's
that at
not
the
something
moment.
you say, like, on a podcast. That's a public that's for public consumption, bro. But it's okay. I mean,
Okay, man, it's all good, man.
it's all
Yeah,
good.
those first months are fun though. I would say that the first year is pretty fun.
That's
They're
good.
pretty chill. Yeah,
Oh,
you can
okay.
still go out. You can still go out to like dinner and everything's all good. It's like now that they're two, is just kind of like where they get a little hyped, So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
hey, man, congrats. Hey, shit, my our baby's coming in soon too. Probably like
Yeah.
a good 3 weeks out now.
Wow, dude. Yeah. I mean, you're basically in the home run stretch. At this point, if the baby were to be born, if it's 3, it would still be considered premature or no?
Next week it will be full term.
Oh wow.
37.
Yeah. See, that's
37.
dang. Wow.
He would just
That's
he would
exciting.
just be coming early,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
All right.
hopefully that doesn't happen. I mean,
Right.
we're hoping that the little guy makes it all the way through to the at least
To
close to the
March.
end.
To the first, at least to
Yeah,
the first week of March or last week of
yeah.
February.
Last week of February. Yeah.
All right. All right, boys. Why don't we get into it? Why don't we start discussing the film that we watched? So we did watch the Dragon Ball GT: A Hero's Legacy. I hope all three of us watched that movie.
Yep, we did.
All
Yeah, we
right, for
did.
sure.
At least I did. I
All
know
right,
I
good.
did.
All right,
Yeah.
good. I watched it. Lalito, you watched it in Japanese, correct?
No, I watched it in English.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah, I
was
had to
your
check
that was
out.
your opportunity to say yes. I watched
I
it
didn't
in
want to be that guy,
Japanese. But Alito, what we do around here is we normally give like a one-word summarization of what we thought of the film. So I'm gonna go to you first because I want to throw these are coming at you hot, bro. This
Okay.
is this is
Okay.
this is this is the actual battlefield. Like this is you in real time. So give me one word to describe this film.
When I saw this movie, the first thing that I thought was it's a phrase actually. It's called the new beginning. To
New
me, that's what it
beginning.
was. Yeah,
Okay.
new beginning.
The new beginning.
The new,
Okay.
it's funny, Cheween. When we have special, when we have a guest on, and we had a guest, we had a guest on like a month ago. Like they always go with the phrase. They don't give a
Always.
word. You
Always.
know what I'm
They don't
saying?
give a word.
That's funny.
Uh, but that's cool. A new beginning. I like that. What about you, Cheween?
My word would be confused.
Okay. Um, that's interesting. Okay, a little ambiguous. Mine would be refreshing. Um, but I had also thought about confused. But Lalito, you are the guest, so why don't you go ahead and explain, like, your phrase and elaborate a little bit on it, a new
Sure,
beginning.
sure. Well, when I first saw the movie, it was complete garbage. I was like, what is this? Why did I sign up for this?
Okay.
Why
Okay,
did I
you could
sign
have
up
used
for this?
that, bro.
You
That
know?
phrase.
You know, what did I just do to
Garbage.
my Saturday night, But I had to analyze the movie, and you really have to watch GT in order to really understand the whole concept of the movie because
Mhm.
it's if you just come at it like from like in a straight arrow, yeah, you won't really understand it because it's all connected.
Right.
You know, one thing that I would say, so 100 years have passed. I don't know if 100 years has passed since Dragon Ball GT ended, and everybody's dead.
Right.
And one thing that stood out to me it was that Goku Jr. is to
Wait,
me
100 years?
100 years went by after Dragon Ball GT.
Oh wow, damn.
Yeah,
Because so Pan is like a
How's
hundred
Pan
and
still
like
alive? Yeah,
yeah,
how's
Pan is
Pan
still
13.
still
alive. Yeah,
alive?
yeah, Pan is still alive. 100 years go by,
Okay.
and that's why you see the only saying at that point is Pan and Goku Jr. So to me, the reason why I say in the beginning it was because that movie to me reminded me of the beginning of Dragon Ball when it
Right.
first started. How everything began with the search of the Dragon Balls to fulfill the wish, and then you have all these evil nemesis coming in, like you know um, the Red Reverend Army.
Hmm.
You had Piccolo. There are all these people trying to get the Dragon Ball. So to me,
Hmm.
that's why it stood out to me. It was the new beginning, like a new chapter.
I agree.
Mm,
It's funny, like because when I was watching it, um, I thought the exact same thing. It's very much there are a lot of parallels between this and Dragon Ball, or this movie and Dragon Ball, and they really tried to play on the whole grand grandfather, grandmother, grandfather, grandchild relationship. Like Goku in Dragon Ball, he's with his grandpa, right? Like
Right,
Grandpa
right.
Gohan, and Grandpa Gohan's the one raising him. Goku's a little bit different than Goku Jr. Uh, but in the sense that he's more like he's not as afraid, but
Exactly.
and he's just a better fighter. Uh but they definitely play on that, like there's that journey that Goku Jr. goes through. He's like he has that relationship to his grandma where he doesn't have anyone but his grandma.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously he doesn't want to lose her, and so he goes on a journey. So yeah, I see those parallels too. But before I like go ahead and go down like a little rabbit hole, Chewing, why don't you talk about like why you thought it was why confused was the word you came up with?
Well, I think Lalito just kind of hit it right on the head, right? It's like if you've never seen GT, like this shit is new. So like to me, I
Mm,
never seen an episode. I mean, I seen 3 episodes of GT, so I can't. So I'm not gonna come to this podcast and say like, oh, I know what the fuck's happening in GT because I
right.
don't. And but the reason that I say confused is that like I think when I think about a special like this, I think there should be an element here of like you can orient even new people, and maybe I'm just making an assumption here, but I think the film is really confusing. I think it's just like it's a really confusing like storyline. Like I got confused whether they're talking about your great great grandpa, great great grandpa, your great great grandson. I'm like, whose fucking son is this? Like
Yeah.
whose kid is this?
Yeah.
And how are they related to Goku? And the only reason that I knew Goku was because I was confused. I'm like, so is his grandpa Gohan, or is it another Goku, or is it like somebody else? So I was like super confused about it. And I don't even think if I would have watched GT, that would have made it more sense to me because there were so many like different layers that were confusing. And they also made just some confusing like choices in the film where like there isn't really an antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Like there isn't really like a villain or like a bad guy that like Goku Jr. is kind of facing other than like metaphorically himself. Like,
Right.
like it's self that's like the antagonist because he's so afraid. But like I think that it- yes, I can see the connection between Dragon Ball and this, but it's I just wish that it would have been laid out a little bit more clearly because I think that they just made some they made some choices that I think really are disorienting even to people that never have seen it. Like this could have hooked me in if this is one of the main specials and it didn't. Um but yeah, that's why I say confusing.
Yeah. I feel like this was because this is at the end of Dragon Ball GT. This is this is it. Like Goku's dead, and even if you've watched Dragon Ball GT, there's a scene right at the end of the movie where Pan is going to the tournament, to like the World Martial Arts Tournament,
Yeah.
and she's kind of giving a little monologue to herself, kind of as a way to like as she's walking, she's thinking to herself, but really she's talking to the viewers, and she's wrapping up the entire series. And as she's going and she sits down to watch the World Martial Arts Tournament, she sees Goku Jr. and she sees who she thinks is Goku in the crowd. And when she does like a double take, and when she looks back, he's walking away, like he's leaving. So this is certainly the end of GT. This is wrapping it up, and I think it was their way of saying the lineage continues, even if the series ends. Uh, you know, I have to say though, like for me, it was refreshing because we don't see this often when it comes to Dragon Ball GT movies. They follow a very basic template, which is there's a main villain, he's coming to destroy the world, and Goku and company or whoever it is has to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was not like that. And you know, I personally liked seeing him go on a journey, like not being this OP, like Goku or Gohan or Vegeta type of character. Like goes on a journey, and he still doesn't know how to handle his strength, or his power. Um, but it's there. It's like latent, and you know it it's such a different approach that I don't know if it's just because I'm fatigued from seeing all the kind of movies we've been watching and the template that we see every other movie.
In and week out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like where it follows the same trajectory. Where this one, it was different, you know. Now I do get it, like the antagonist, yeah, that you never really felt like the antagonist never felt meaningful. Like they almost felt like side quest characters when you're doing a main quest in a game.
Right.
You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like none of them felt real menacing. Uh, but you know, I thought it was refreshing for sure. But um, yeah, I could see why you would be like there'd be confusion because one of the things I asked myself too was like, well, who's Gohan's child? Pan's child. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
we don't
Like,
know. We don't know.
you know,
So in order for you to know this, you have to do research, right? Because supposedly that's Goku Jr. is Pam's grandkid, right? So that means
right,
that Pam had to have kids.
right,
But okay, where's the husband? Right?
right.
Who
Where's
is she
the
married to?
right?
You know,
Where's the
like
family?
right, it's just it's only Goku Jr. and Pan, and that's it.
Right. And because we know
And Pan is who's wait, so we don't know. Wait, who's Pan's parents?
Gohan
It's
and Videl,
Gohan and Videl.
Okay. Gohan and Videl. Okay, I got you.
Come
So that
on,
means
big boy.
Pan. So then Pan has kids,
Right, yeah,
and then Goku Junior is those parents'
exactly,
kids.
exactly. But we don't know who.
Okay.
Yeah.
and the thing is, like,
Okay, got you. See that's why I got confused. I'm like, whose
Mm,
kid is this? But okay,
yeah,
now it makes sense. All right,
yeah.
got you.
and here's the thing, like, I know we said it draws kind of a parallel with Dragon Ball, where like you have Gohan and Goku, and then here you have Pan and Goku Junior. But Goku was, for lack of a better word, adopted by
Yep,
Gohan,
yep.
where like Goku Junior is clearly not. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there is no DNA test needed for that man. All right, the writers got real creative when
He look
coming
like
up
let's
with
just make
Yeah.
an exact copy of Goku.
right. So that's why I'm like, hmm, Goku, bro, you it doesn't look like you're living in a real like outlawed and menacing society. You know what I'm saying? Like the man's going to school or the kid's going to school, and it looks like he hasn't had to train, you know, because he's soft. So it's like, dude, I don't think your parents died in combat. Where are they? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, soft. It's a little bit of a stretch. The kid is like what, like 7?
Yeah, he's seven, dude.
How hard can the kid be? I mean,
Nah,
he's
but
a
dude,
kid.
compared to his family, compared to his heritage,
I mean,
right?
Gohan
Like,
was like that though when he was little. Except
yeah,
that Gohan turned into an ape.
Gohan was, but Pan wasn't, and neither was Goku.
Well, see, if look at it this way, Pan was, one quarter Saiyan, and then the rest was human, right? So he was still considered Saiyan. So I think it was more common to have Saiyan blood in the society at that time because I guess people started reproducing and stuff. So 100 years went by. So I'm assuming, I don't know. This is just an assumption because we don't know what happened. We don't know if there has been any villains attacking the Earth or anything like that. Because apparently all the warriors are gone. They're all dead, right? I mean, in
Yeah.
the beginning of the film, they state that everybody's gone. 100 years have passed. So I don't know if the humans were able to become stronger. I mean, remember Gohan did train without he taught her how to
Mhm.
fly, right? So what if the Sea Warriors decided to train other humans and so they become better warriors? So that way you
To
don't need the
protect
sea.
themselves, you don't need
Exactly, right?
Saiyans.
Yeah,
So
I don't
that's
know.
what
It's
you
just
think happened in this film?
yeah, that's
Like that's what
exactly
you
what I
think
think
happened to this
happened.
society?
Yeah, we all become Super Saiyans.
They definitely can't become
We
super
all become
saiyans.
Super
Yeah.
Saiyans.
Actually,
Yeah.
there is a mortal that walks among us that has reached
Exactly.
those heights.
I didn't want to say anything.
uh
The Sil.
the Sylv. Yeah, not, I mean, definitely that's a stretch. I'm not gonna lie. That is a stretch, but it's plausible. I mean, if the Z Warriors decided to train these dudes and they don't need, I just think there's no more threats. Like there's no real menacing threats that have attacked Earth. So naturally there hasn't been a need, and people, these warriors have died off, and there hasn't been a need to really replenish the the warrior force. So uh Pan kind of trains Goku Jr., but Goku Jr. is not exactly he doesn't come off as a prodigy. But uh I don't know. Goku Jr. Was confusing to me. There were times where I liked him, and there were times where I didn't. All right, like the times that I liked him was when I saw him be very vulnerable, like when his grandma was in the hospital and she was
Mm-hmm.
gonna die, and he was by himself. That was I like that because of course that's relatable. Like when you lose your companion, or at least you feel like you're going to, and uh, he kind of was afraid of solitude. Um, but then there were times where I was just like, come on, dude. Like when the boy Pug, and we'll get into Puck in a little bit, but when he
Mm-hmm.
comes to save him from the bridge, and the boy Puck falls into the abyss because of Goku
Yeah.
Jr., I'm like, dude, now you seen like now this is where you turn the corner. All right, your boy just took one for the team. This is where you got to turn the corner. Um, but I'll get into Goku Jr. in a little bit, but I want to hear what you guys thought about Goku Jr. like as a whole. Is he too much like a carbon copy of Goku in a way? Or is he kind of like not it? I don't know. How'd you guys feel about him?
I think for me, I think just to echo a little bit about the emotional pieces, there are some elements that I think are redeemable by him because he's so different. That scene when he's like running after he finds out about his grandma, I thought that was a good scene. Um, I think even after Puck, uh, I mean, at least to me, I thought he died. So
Yeah.
after that scene, like where he's alone, he's like remembering that.
Hmm.
The parts that I enjoyed with him was when he tapped into that emotion, and then like a power came out, like without
Hmm.
him like kind of knowing what it was, like where he like pushes that woman away, or
Hmm.
like he like fights that like that pig looking guy, and then he does something like Super Saiyan and stuff. So those elements I liked because I think that it's trying to convey that he's an emotional character and that he has and then he's a child, and that like he should be acting this way. Like I would be scared if I was him too. And I think that is what I liked about him. I thought they did a good job conveying him as a child, and that he's not just like this saying that is just gonna just come out of nowhere and like not be scared as a 7-year-old. That he doesn't know how to do this stuff, and that whether we like it or not, Pan is just maybe Pan's not at the top of the food chain in regards to the Z, as the Z fighters, what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's
Like,
so maybe he's not getting the training that, his family has gotten. And it's gonna be up to him to I mean, he has an aging grandmother, so it's gonna be up to him to realize that potential.
and he is more.
And
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
and there's one piece that I did like about his character too, was that like his being afraid, or like him being so scared, led to consequences. So I like that
Right.
aspect of his character.
That's
That like
true.
him being scared led to people dying, led
Hmm.
to people being let down, being
Hmm.
disappointed. And I think that in that it's pushing him to like really, I don't want to say mature, but like he has to
Evolve.
make this
Hmm.
decision at a really young age, and which must be tough. So that's what I will say. But the other aspects of him crying and all this stuff, I too much, like too much whining and too much like that, like I didn't really like that. And yeah,
That's and
what you think, Lalito?
and it's funny, like you said. Now that you say that, and I want to get your take on it too, Lalito. Uh, it does show that. And this is why I don't know that they should have gone with the whole Goku look, because when you see him, you see Goku, um, but he's more human than he is Saiyan. And so the more you become human, the more like scared you're gonna be. Like when we watch Dragon Ball Super and you see Vegeta burst in and he's like a little kid, and when we watch the Broly movie, and he's like a little kid and he's destroying a bunch of stuff. Or when we watch the Broly special, and Vegeta does the same thing. Like he's he's just a badass
Mhm.
at a young age. But they only look human, but they're Saiyan, right? And in Goku Jr., I don't think it helps him that he looks like Goku, because you forget he is more human than he is Saiyan. Um, but I mean, yeah, he was a difficult one for me, because there were times where I really liked him, and then there were times where I was just like, it's too much crime. But like you said, he is a kid though, like, and he decides to embark on a journey by himself. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, Lalito, go ahead. What did you
Yeah, to
think?
me, Goku Junior was I I felt like they were trying to create a brand new character because remember, he has to follow Goku's steps, right? There's no way you could, it's such a pressure, that pressure. I'm sure that pressure on Goku Junior, right, to know that your
Mm,
great grandpa was Goku, right?
right.
Um, I didn't like that they made him look like Goku at all. Like I just didn't understand why, because now we're holding him up to like that scale,
Standard,
right?
right?
Yeah, So I'm like, no. So I feel they messed up there. I do like that he's. I feel like he's more human and saying, and
Mm-hmm.
I really love how they embrace that concept because yeah, you do see him, trying to run away like a human being, not knowing that
Yeah,
he's
right,
powerful,
right.
So to me, I just love that. I hate the fact that he looks like Goku, and um, so when we first see this, the first thing that came in mind was that's Goku right there. Why is he running away?
Right.
You know, but yeah,
That's yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, dude, when are you gonna turn around and fight? But part of that is because like you see Goku obviously is a full-blooded Saiyan, and that dude is like he's wired differently. Like Saiyans are just wired differently. They're born to fight, you know. And I think it's a little bit of a disservice. I get what they tried to do, kind of like the baton is being passed, and it's a new, like you said, Lalita, a new beginning, and there's kind of this new heir, Goku Jr. Um, but had he looked different, just slightly different, I think it would have that would have resonated with us a little bit more, because we would know, okay, yeah, this. I mean, we already know, but it would be at a subconscious level. Like we wouldn't be saying, "Oh, this is a Saiyan. Like, why is he not fighting?" We
right,
would be like,
right,
of course, like he's a human, really, with some Saiyan blood,
right,
right?
Yeah. I think
But
what also didn't help was that the movie also fell into a formula. Like, and I think that is one of the things that they kept doing this, and it was a pattern. And I was like, dude, how many of these fucking things are you gonna do? Which is like this pattern that they would show something in front of Goku Jr. and then he would run away,
mhm,
and then they would show something in front of him and then he would run away,
mhm.
and then something would happen. Like he just kept running away. Like it was like how many we had so many chase scenes, like whether with Puck on the bike, whether it was him running away from the lady, whether it was
The
him running
wolves or
away
whatever,
from
or
like
the fox or
the
whatever,
wolves, like, and then like against the other people. There were so many just chase scenes. You know what I'm
from the
saying? Like
bear. Yeah,
from the bear, and it's just not a
it's
the
too
fact that he looks like
repetitive.
Goku. It's too repetitive, but they also messed up too because isn't in GT, isn't there also a kid Goku?
yes. Well, Goku gets turned into a kid,
Yeah,
uh, and
Yeah,
then that's
so I
you see
mean,
him.
you know what I'm saying? Like there's two of them, and it's just like you got to change it up a little bit,
mhm,
or else it just feels kind of cheap, and it doesn't allow for Goku Jr. to be himself. And I think that
mhm.
it kind of
Yeah,
fell into that where he couldn't
that's
really
true.
be himself. You know
Because
what I'm
like that's
saying?
the thing. If they ever decided to pick up from here and like start a new series where Goku Jr. is the main character, like it wouldn't it wouldn't feel original, it would feel just like the poor man's version of Goku continuing the series, and it would never turn into its own thing. Like it would always have that Goku shadow looming over it, because he looks exactly like Goku. And but he isn't Goku. He's the Goku that mom says is at home, right? And I think that's what like that's what doesn't allow for, because he has some really redeemable like moments in the movie, like you said. But I think that's what kind of isn't allowing him to be his own character and like fully resonate with the viewer, or at least that's how I kind of interpret it, you know.
Well, one
um
thing. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, man.
No. Well, one thing I would say though is that I feel like they try to change it up a little bit. They try, so GT, they try to change Dragon Ball by introducing GT.
Mm-hmm.
From difference. Because if you compare GT to Dragon Ball Z, just compare different arcs,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think they were trying to change it a little bit, and then they got a backlash from the fans because
Oh, for
GT
sure,
was,
dude.
I mean, I love GT, but people out there, I don't know why they
That's
say
not
that
the
it's a horrible
common.
show.
No,
Yeah,
people hate GT.
yeah.
You know,
But
What I will say, and I wrote this in my, like, one of the things that I did appreciate about this film is that, and I don't know if this is how GT is, and maybe you can speak to it, but like, I love kind of how dark it is. Like, it's super real. Like, it's super like heavy in the fact of like you see people dying. Like when I saw Puck die, I'm like, oh shit, like they actually killed them off. Like
right.
they, you know what I'm saying? Like there was like a real consequence where they got rid of people, and the whole basis is Pan dying, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's what this movie's gonna be about. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like there's like the stakes are kind of high, but they're high in this like human level. They're
Right.
not
yeah.
like high in like Frieza's gonna like destroy our world high. They're just
Right,
kind of
right,
high
right.
on like human level high, and I kind of like that because I think it speaks to us a little bit more. But I don't know if that's how GT is.
There's one scene I remember in GT that it always stuck to me. So there's a new the Ultimate Android comes out,
Uh-huh.
and they fuse, right,
Uh-huh.
and he kills Krillin, and then uh, number 18 tries to
Avenge him.
revenge him, yeah, avenge him, and it feels different. It feels so real. It feels there's more feelings. There's more. Uh, there's just more substance than just because I remember because Krillin has died before, and we're like,
Right.
oh crap, But
Yeah, man.
when I saw that, it was like,
And
wow.
and and, and that was another thing. I was like, of course Krillin died, bro. And that man is always the sacrificial lamb. But you're right. th- the stakes were so personable, because it's you almost get desensitized when you keep hearing that the galaxy is at stake, and that like the antagonist is coming over to take over the galaxy and destroy this puny little world, like. But when you see, we've talked about this before, chewing, like, you know there needs to be consequences so people get more emotionally invested, because it's kind of like how it is in real life. Like, unfortunately, someone has just suffered a tragedy right this very instant, you know,
Mm-hmm.
far away from us. And um we can't like connect to it, you know. But if something were to happen to someone next to us right now, it would hit us on like a real deep emotional level. And that's how it was here. Like, Puck is his kind of, that's his guy. That's his, at least in the movie, first, obviously, that's the bully, but he goes on him, or with him on this journey. And, Puck is kind of helping him too. Like, he gives him food. Uh, he's really like there for him. And so then when you see him die, and I was like, damn, dude, Puck. When I saw the bridge collapse, I'm like, Goku's gonna fly. Goku is gonna fly towards Puck to go save him. But nah, that fool just continued to fall. And I was like, dude, and the first thing Goku did was he climbed up. And I was like, bro. And of course, there were those moments where he was, lonely, and he was like, he saw the illusion of Puck. And those were real, like, wholesome, because uh of course you can relate to that in a way. So yeah, I agree. Also, I like that they did that, because in Dragon Ball Z, and definitely in Super, dude, there's none of that. You know,
There's none of that. Absolutely none of that in
it,
Super, especially Super.
especially Super. At Dragon Ball Z, it stops. So I want to say it stops after Goku dies when he takes out Cell, or like when he uses instant transmission to transfer Cell to another to King Kai's planet. But then, Vegeta also has that what is it called, the final atonement moment, where he tries to take out Boo, and of course, he doesn't. But he sacrifices himself. But like you said, they never it gets to the point where they don't feel real. Like there's no real consequence. And in Super, it's just like, oh, Super's the worst, dude. Lalita, have you watched Super?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, dude.
It's
So
horrible.
we've all watched it. We know
Yeah.
how it ends, bro. All right. The tournament of power, like whatever universe lives, or whatever universe wins, obviously they live, they get the wish. But every universe that falls along the way, they're eradicated. But then at the end, they're all just brought back. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? So what was the point? Like, just to fight for the simple sake of fighting?
Yeah, that's horrible.
And so, yeah, I did like that. I like that there was that. Everything in this movie felt a little more like human, if you I don't know if that's the right word, but it didn't feel so grandiose. I didn't see like gigantic death beams and like spirit bombs and things like that, right? And I appreciated that. I liked seeing Goku Jr. go to school, um and trying to play baseball, and he's terrible at it, and
Yeah.
he gets bullied, you know. I liked all the and the one thing I liked was that he progresses in a very you know in his own peculiar way. But when he's going on the journey and he has his backpack and he hitchhikes, or at least he gets a ride from that trucker, and the trucker obviously plays him. He tells him like, oh, we're taking a stop to take a piss. Goku gets out, takes a piss, and the dude dips with Goku's stuff. And Puck tells him, like, he sees him down the road, and Puck tells him, you know you can't just trust everyone, no matter how nice they are. And that speaks a little bit to the naivete that we can have when we're younger, and we're very like easily fooled. And Goku Jr. is experiencing that firsthand, and the next time they get saved by someone, he tells Puck like, oh, I don't trust this lady. And he's like, why? And he says, well, you told me, we shouldn't just trust anyone. uh like, don't be so innocent in that regard. So there were those little things that I kind of liked a lot, uh in the journey,
Yeah,
right?
I would definitely recommend you guys to watch GT, and don't try to kind of like compare it, because if you compare it, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it, you know. But
Well, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Oh,
not
I
gonna
was
cut
gonna
you off. Go
say,
ahead.
it's because Goku Junior. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. I think they could have done something super cool after Goku Junior with Goku Junior, because to me it's just creating just creating the formula for what could be next, right? For the next
Mhm.
Dragon Ball series, and I just wish they would have just continued that, because I think they did created this, opening, so to speak. Um, and I wish they would have just elaborate more on that concept. You could introduce, Vegeta Junior. You could introduce new characters, new transformations, of course. New villains, but they just the fan base was like, nah, no, we want blue, we want super.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, I'm thinking about like what because when I look at some of the films we've reviewed on this, and Kicker and I have talked about this, is that sometimes we read the reviews and it's just like even for like Fusion 13, right? Like Android 13, like
Right.
there was like 5 stars, right? There was 10 stars. People were just loving
They
it, and it
loved
was a
it.
pretty bad movie. Like like according to us, that's probably one of the worst films we've seen so far. And like, so there's like this like piece of like we're gonna just accept. We just want kind of like the big blast and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
when I look at GT, and this is the only sample that I really have of GT in those first 3 episodes that I saw, which I actually kind of like the first 3 episodes that I did see. So like I think they went in such a different route in regards to storytelling that I don't
Mhm.
think that the fan base was used to such real or
Mhm.
potentially real storylines, like in
Exactly.
regards
Yeah.
to characters' feelings, people actually dying and not gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? Like there's actually like stakes in regards to like we're gonna kill some of these people off. We're gonna actually like write in like new characters or write out characters. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if the fan base was necessarily ready at this moment when they dropped GT, because I look at this as a sample and I'm like, yeah, they got rid of everybody we know, and
Mhm.
this guy looks like the one we know, but he definitely doesn't act like him. So
Mhm.
I can see why it would be confusing to a fan base, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
and I would like to know, I know you touched on it a little bit. I would like to know exactly why it is that people don't like GT, because I watched GT back in like when I was 19, I think, or like around there, like 18, 19, maybe like 17. And I remember not hating it at all. So I've never been a part of that fan base that just hates, that's so vocal and hates GT. I'd
Right.
like to know what it is that they hate about it. I mean, is it because Vegeta becomes a little more, I don't know if the right word is domesticated, but he doesn't have that same, he doesn't look or come across as that same ruthless warrior. Um is it that like Goku gets turned into a little kid? But at the very least in GT, they try to put a story there
Right.
for to follow. It's not just we're gonna fight the next strongest guy.
Right. Yeah, they were actually looking for the Dragon Balls to make a wish, but see, this is my take on. I'm not an expert, but I would just give you my opinion. I would say one, because Toriyama is not involved 100% on Dragon Ball GT.
Mm-hmm.
He's just,
Mm-hmm.
he's a collab, so that's why people
Mm-hmm.
call it. Oh, it's not a continuation of Dragon Ball Z. It's just a side story. That's what they call it.
Right.
Um, they also it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't follow Dragon Ball Z. It just goes to like, okay, cool. Well, so much time has
Mm.
gone, and now we have Pan, all grown up. Trunks all grown up. So we skip all these, like, you know, um, and it's just different. It's just different. It's a lot darker than Dragon Ball Z. You see
Mm-hmm.
people die. You see consequences. You see, I mean, the reason why they have the whole sh- uh, uh, Shenron fight with it's because they use the Dragon Balls too much. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like, well, this is what you get for using Dragon Balls too much, and
So
now you have
Omega
the
Shenron
new
is
the Mega
created
Shenron
and
comes out,
right.
you know. Um, I would just say because people don't consider this part of Dragon Ball Z, and this the time frame just does not like connect at all. There's just it doesn't fit anywhere. Like if you pull like right now, if we talk about where does each Dragon Ball series stand? So it's Dragon Ball first, then you have Dragon Ball Z up to
Mm-hmm.
Boo, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that will be Super, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they completely took out GT.
Right. It's like GT is almost in a different dimension.
Right. It's like they consider it as a new like a side story, like a side quest, so to
Right.
speak. You know.
And I don't want to like go way too much into the GTN, but I did want to just say this one thing. Like even when Goku transforms into Super Saiyan 4, like that transformation, it's like it doesn't compare at all to, I'm not talking about how it looks, you know, to something like Super Saiyan Blue, right?
Right.
Like if the way Goku transforms to Super Saiyan 4, it's like it's more, it just hits different. I hate
Yeah.
using that, but because Pan's like trying to talk to Goku, right? And Goku's in that ape form and he's lost control because he's a kid now. He has his tail.
Right, right.
And she's like trying to talk to him, like screaming at him, and she's crying and stuff. And he starts to see that. And he, eventually he takes Super Saiyan 4, the Super Saiyan 4
Yeah.
form. But they tried different concepts and it didn't really register with the fan base. But like you said, there is that whole thing, like where does this fit? It feels like
Yeah.
it's a completely different time.
I would say,
Do you feel?
one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, like, do y'all feel like if GT would be released today, like, do you think it would hit differently? Considering now that we know where Super's at and we know what's happened kind of after Dragon Ball Z, like, if they were to drop this like now, do y'all think that GT would hit different?
I think so. If they tied it to the end of Super really well, or if they knew how to tie it to the main story, but they would have to tie it really well to the main story. Because I'll tell you right now, the fans are not going to want to see Ultra Instinct go. Like they would revolt if Goku couldn't use Ultra Instinct again.
Yeah, yeah. Just imagine like Super Saiyan Blue, Ultra Instinct, and then Super Saiyan 4 out of
Yeah.
nowhere. You know, you know.
Right.
But look, I was gonna say before this thought goes away, Super Saiyan 4 to me, that transformation to me is one of the greatest transformation of all time. Is
Mhm.
it sums up like what the real Saiyan power is, because you have
Mhm.
to have a tail, you have to look at the moon.
Mhm.
They connected with becoming a golden ape, right?
Mhm.
And that's something that Saiyans can only do, right?
Mhm.
So to me, that transformation is one of the greatest transformations for me. It's my favorite transformation.
Yep. I
But
agree.
they kind of go away from that, right? Like that they go away from the
Yeah,
ape.
yeah, yeah,
They go away from the ape aspect of transformations. They
yeah,
kind of just skip
yeah.
right on ahead to being a
Exactly.
god.
Yeah,
But they skip that ape piece that's essentially a part of them, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, well,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, once and in the Dragon Ball world, really, because they don't acknowledge GT, it ends when they turn into the actual ape. You know what I'm saying? Like in early Dragon Ball Z,
Yep.
when Vegeta
Yep.
turns into an ape, that's it. That's the last time we see it. And like you said, Lalita, the only way, this is the epitome of Saiyan power. You know what I'm saying? Like this is Saiyans in peak form,
Yep.
their final form, you know
Yep.
what I'm
Yep.
saying? And it was so cool that it tied to the race. Where
Yeah.
now like Vegeta and Goku, yeah, they have these god powers, but it has nothing to do with their race per se. It's more the deities from above are giving it to them. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it's always gonna feel super OP and like it doesn't feel connected to them. Um, But bringing it back to the movie, how'd you guys feel about the side characters? Whether it was Puck, whether it was the villains or the antagonist, I'd say. Um, you know, what were you guys think? Or like the trucker, like what did you guys think?
I mean, the fact that you're putting the trucker as an antagonist, I think tells us that there was no antagonist. The trucker was maybe in the movie for like a minute.
Oh.
So I don't know how much of an antagonist there actually was, because if the trucker made the list, then it's pretty slim. I would say uh Puck, to me, while I liked the turn that he makes, I don't understand why he made the turn. Because he's just sitting there, and I was so confused by this. I'm like, is this the kid that's bullying him?
Yeah,
And
why
then
does he
all of
have
a
a
sudden,
hard
he's just
hat
like,
on
oh,
in a construction
yeah, what does he have a
out?
hard hat on? He's a construction worker, and I'm like, and then he just takes him like, yeah, let's just go. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Like, why do you make the turn? So I thought Puck's introduction was just really convenient, and I didn't see why he would turn on him. Um, and I guess because he was getting bullied by another kid. I don't know. I think that's what happened, but I'm not really sure. So Puck, to me, while I liked him as a friend and like as a catapult for Goku's emotions kind of to come out, I didn't really like his turning. The cannibals, because that's kind of what I wrote down in my notes. Like, they're kind of just cannibals. Like, they did not do it for me. They didn't really do it for me. Um, and then the final guy, Lord Yao, I was like, what? This guy looks like he's like out of like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know? Like he looks like one of those guys.
That fool was
And
little.
Yeah.
yeah, that
That dude
guy
was
was little. The fact that he could just pick up a bear like nothing.
Yeah.
But he
We're
needs
gonna ignore
powers.
the fact that this was the size of a hill. Cause I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, he's
the
standing
size
right
of a-
next to a hill and he's like the same size. He's bigger than it. I'm like, dude, this thing should be seen by all the civilians. He can't just be hiding in the forest. Like this fool has to be seen by the civilians. Um,
yeah. And so
Well,
I think
he's feared, right? He's
the only
feared
side
by
character that I liked was Pan. That's
Pam. Yeah.
about it. Everybody else I was kind of like, eh.
nah, dude. I gotta tell you, I get what like your gripes are with Puck, but Puck is the boy, bro. All right, and I want to hear Lalito go in, but I'm gonna expand on that in a little bit.
Yeah, I actually do agree with One Kick Man. Puck was, I think he was more, to me, reminded me more of a support character, like that. You know, man, it's really hard to because I hate to compare. It's just I really hate to hate to compare, but
But
he
that's what it
reminds
is.
me
It's what
of
you gotta do.
of like a disciple kind of, like, guide him, like, because he helps them achieve Super Saiyan. Um, but them to not be afraid, stuff like that.
Mm,
I feel like they were just trying to achieve the same concept as Dragon Ball. Like they were just going the same route, right? The same route. But maybe it could be a Krillin. I don't know. But I love him. Yeah, he was very cool.
yeah,
That's a core character.
I I do wish they would have expanded a little bit more on his character, like you said, Cheween. Like, why did he decide to join Goku? But and like you said, it is ambiguous because there's that moment where, for whatever reason, Goku like I like that he gets his outfit and he puts his backpack on, and he's gonna go on a journey, which is um it's symbolic to me because he's going on a journey not just to find a Dragon Ball, but in that journey he will find himself also.
Yeah,
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
exactly.
and the one thing is that he's leaving, and as soon as he's about to get out of town, like they're just there. The goons are just there. All right, like did they know he was leaving? Like, why are they there? Is this where they kick it all the time? Um, they're just there. But there's that moment where where Goku's kind of he kind of says to himself, not necessarily explicitly, but no, like I gotta keep going, like I gotta go, I don't care. And he you see that like little explosion of power, and he starts walking forward, and like the two other dudes, I forget their names. I don't even know if they said their names. Um, they're kind of like talking shit to Goku, but Goku continues walking forward, and then as he's getting close to Puck is just straight face, like stoic, just not even looking at him. And they walk past each other, and Puck doesn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like, wait, this ain't Puck. This isn't the Puck we saw at school. Did he see something there? Like I felt that was a moment where Puck, there was something. I don't know if it was because he drew a like some type of comparison to Pan, because like Puck alludes to Pan, um, or he has that flashback with Pan
Mm-hmm.
when he was about to fight the other bullies. But I felt like that was um, a reason why or at least a point where he could have made the turn. But it was just, again, it is too ambiguous. I think the fact that he's just there at the convenience store, like right outside, after Goku Jr. has been driving in a truck with
Mm-hmm.
with this dude, like, and he just happens to be at that convenience store, which looks like it's out in the middle of nowhere. Um,
Yeah, he's just chilling there, and that's where
yeah,
he's skipping school. Like that's where he's skipping
yeah,
school in a grocery store in the middle of fucking nowhere.
yeah, dude. Like Goku's been on a journey, dude. Like he got like almost destroyed by that truck. He then had to hitchhike. Then he got thrown out. He had to walk a bunch. and it only took Puck 5 minutes to get to that convenience store. You know what I'm saying? And he's
Well,
suited
he's
up.
skipping school. That's the thing.
Right,
He's skipping
he was
school.
skip-
School to be there.
That dude is, yeah, that's exactly where you go to skip school. And the fact that he's in his construction worker outfit, I'm like, oh, we're just gonna go put in a shift really quick at the site, at the new project site. Like, right? I was just like, that shit did not make any sense to me. But I kind of like that they have that little rebellious like moment where they're like, because they're kids,
Yeah.
they're not grown men, they're kids, and they're like, oh, let's go get some food or whatever. And then of course it's Hercule's voice. I don't know who plays Hercule, that you hear like the store owner, um and they run away or whatever. And then you see, obviously Goku has the biggest evolution, but Puck has one as well. And he goes from being the bully to sacrificing himself for Goku. And so I was feeling Goku, I mean, I was feeling Puck in that regard, right? But fuck, man, those antagonists, those villains, or whatever the fuck they were, that shit was bad, dude. That shit fell flat,
That was
man.
bad.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
bad. But I feel like the movie was more about, okay, we're gonna we're gonna see the growth of Goku Junior, right?
Hmm.
And I think that was because we want to see King Yao.
Hmm.
You know, I think the point of the movie was they were trying to really grasp the concept of Goku Junior's growth and discovering himself, right? To discover himself, because he took the trip to find the Dragon Balls
Hmm.
and to help his grandma, you know,
I
to
agree.
you know,
But here's the thing, and here's why I push back on that, is because Chewin, you and I have talked about, like, you need a good dance partner for the movie to really work. And I juxtapose this with um the Future Trunks movie. My God, what was it? The one
History
with
of
Future
Trunks.
Gohan, right?
History of Trunks.
History
Mhm.
of Trunks. And in that one, Trunks is also like on a journey, and maybe not literally in the way that Goku is here, like he's on an actual journey. Uh, but Trunks is as well, and there's a clear antagonist that is a foil to Trunks and Future Gohan also. But and that is the androids, like they
right,
are the main antagonist, and they are the cause of all this like ire, all this pain and suffering, and so I feel like I love the overarching journey that he's taking, but I feel the fact that there wasn't a main antagonist, you can't really like, it feels, I don't know, it just feels like a little aimless, like they're aimlessly traveling, like the the stakes don't feel as high when it comes to the antagonist, like they're gonna die because of like real world stuff, like Puck falling off the cliff, as opposed to like an antagonist taking them out.
right,
Yeah, Pan is just gonna die of like old age. Like that's the
Right.
antagonist in this movie.
Right.
Old
And
age.
what the hell? She just had a random heart attack, like while they were at the
Yeah,
crib.
Well, she's over 100
the
years old, right? She has to be.
I know, bro, but she looked so spry. Did you see how she was on that log, or and then playing baseball? She
Yeah.
looked like the energy was through the roof. And then she just collapses randomly while they're kicking it at the crib.
Well, let's
well,
do remember that
but she
Goku died
collapses
from.
because he doesn't fight back, and I think she gets like probably
That's
like
true.
upset that he didn't fight back. So again, there's consequence for him being a scaredy cat, and I kind of like that. But the antagonist was a heart attack and
Yeah,
and
right.
bridge
And the
and some
bridge,
bridges,
and some
in the
random
bridge like
gust
that,
of wind.
and a gust of wind, and yeah, and the little bear getting annihilated. But yeah, that's yeah, there wasn't really an antagonist in this movie. So
Mm.
jump into reviews, yeah.
Wait. Before we do, I want to
Uh-huh.
hear like what you guys thought about the end, like where Goku,
Oh,
particularly where Goku comes out.
Go ahead, Chewin.
I think it was necessary. I mean, it was nice. It was nice to see Goku, but that I kind of thought it was kind of corny or kind of cheesy that he did it. I mean, that's kind of what I was kind of confused about too. Of like, he's just gonna go for one Dragon Ball. I don't think the wish works like that. So
Mm,
I kind of did like Goku kind of guiding him in that.
mhm.
But the fact that Puck and Grandma are still alive and Goku justifies it with like you believed, I didn't really particularly like that.
It like wiped out the entire everything that had led up to that point.
Yeah. So it kind of took away the stakes that I thought were there.
Hmm. What about you, Lalito?
For me, I have to disagree because I looked at it from two different perspectives. The first one is Goku. Well, Goku's gone. Okay,
Hmm.
he's gone. And if you watch GT, I just feel like it's all connected, and I keep going back to it's all connected, right? It's all connected. If you see it from like a movie that you have never seen GT, yeah, it's not a great movie. I would say it's not a great movie. But if you understand what happens to Goku at the end of GT and why he appears to Goku Jr., he also finds the 4-star Dragon Ball, which is the first Dragon Ball that was given to Goku when the whole saga started.
Hmm.
So I feel like Goku was there in spirit. I feel like Well, I think Goku is because we can't just say, "Oh, it's all about Goku Junior." I think Goku is trying to guide him so that we could have this transition of characters,
Hmm.
and it's help him to guide him to what could have been the next chapter of Saiyans and Dragon Ball. Um, but like I said, I think they did a horrible job in connecting the dots because in order for you to understand it, you have to watch GT, and I don't think 80%, 90% of the fans have watched GT or they didn't finish it because they just hated it. So then they release this movie and they're like, well, here's a movie that follows what happened after GT. And if you have never seen GT, you won't understand it. You know,
Yeah. Um, I agree. I feel like that's kind of one of the unfortunate things is that you can't just pick this movie up. Um, and if you haven't watched GT, like you kind of have had to have that GT or had to have watched GT to have context. Um, but with the end of the movie, I was a little bit conflicted because I like Goku's appearance. I like that he's kind of this he like when he just pops up randomly, you're like, is is that is that real? Is he there? It can't be. Like they didn't bring him back again. Um, but he serves as that guiding force for Goku Jr. And you know, he's he's offering support to Goku Jr. where Goku Jr. needs it, but he's not really there. He's not physically there. And there's something wholesome about that. But then when I see Pan and Puck, especially Puck, I mean, they got to explain how that man survived that fall. All right. That was a devastating fall. And
Yeah.
if I know anything about physics, which I know very little about, but I know that inertia increases as distance elongates. And that was a very steep fall. That man was going at a high speed when he hit that ground.
That fool should have been broken in half.
Yes, dude. He should have splattered on the hill or the
Yeah.
cliff, but he's just there chilling. Like, dude, and not only chill, he's like excited to see Goku Jr., which I mean, okay, granted, you'd be excited to see a friend, but you'd also be like, damn, bro, I almost died because of you. Um, but he was so excited, so happy, and they didn't even explain how, or I mean, they did. Like Goku talks about how uh Goku Jr.'s like love and compassion is really what saved his grandma Pan and Puck. But that's nice metaphorically, but all right, we need some real physical answers. Like that heart attack looked like it was about to finish Pan, and she's now on a helicopter, uh, flying over like, you know, to see Goku. I just felt like it was slightly rushed, and they tried to kind of erase some of the stakes we talked about. But yeah, we can get into the reviews, dude. See what the people said. I mean, it is GT, right? So
Whoa, whoa,
So
whoa,
we'll see
whoa.
what people said. I
all right.
think the folks that have seen GT, I think that actually see GT. This is my assumption here: is that folks that have actually seen GT, I think really like it.
Think so?
Then I think if folks that watch like a couple episodes and they're like, what the fuck is this? Doesn't connect. Like they are just like super dry and die hard. They probably hate it. Like they're like the reviews are probably gonna reflect that. I think, but I don't know.
Well, you'll be surprised in a way. There are well, at least I think you'll be surprised because there are people who really like the movie, and then of course there are people who didn't like the movie. But there were, at least from the reviews, there were more people who liked the movie than didn't like the movie. Um,
Mm.
okay, now here's this. There's one that I'm gonna start off with the worst one because it's pretty scorching.
Hmm.
And it's quite long. This is a 1 out of 10, um, and it's titled "How Long uh how long will this awful new generation of Dragon Ball continue?" Okay. So bear with me because this thing is nice and short, and I am not sure if it's proofread. Uh so here you go. We all had seen side stories of Dragon Ball before, and all of them deserved appreciation. I still cannot believe I wasted my time with this movie. This movie is so pointless. This movie provided me to think about how long will this generation of Dragon Ball continue? Oh man, and this reviewer gets even more mad here. How many idiotic new generation characters will we have to see? I only watched the first 4 episodes of Dragon Ball GT, and when I saw the atmosphere, characters, and synopsis, I rejected it. We had enough pain by watching Pan, and now it's her grandson. Who cares? To me, even Gohan, or I think now they're drawing the talking about GT. To me, even Gohan was unnecessary. After Goku died, they tried to reenact the whole story, but that character could. Or they're talking about Goku Jr., but Goku Jr. couldn't do enough to carry this big project. I even hated young Gohan in GT. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. After this fiasco, this was painful, and now her grandson is a coward. It's pretty scorching. It's pretty scorching and not very definitely the reviewer just hit submit and didn't take the time to proofread the which it happens. Shoot, we don't always
Well, they're not
proofread our
pulling any
stuff.
punches, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, hey, that was raw. That was what that reviewer was feeling. Um
Yeah.
but definitely not. And then, you know, we have some other ones that liked it. This one's a 10 out of 10. Um, and it's I'm not gonna read the whole thing because this one's even longer. This is a whole essay. But it's a
There
10
you
out of
go.
10, and it's called An Emotional Farewell. I'm going to be upfront. I thought the Dragon Ball GT was all right, despite the torrent abuse it got from hardcore fans. I get that Trunks was goofy, and that it wasn't as dark as the previous installments. However, it still had a fun storyline and key blasts are here. A hero's legacy picks up long time after Goku or all the and they go into like a quick little synopsis. But the storyline of this movie is quite similar to the original series, Find the Dragon Ball. The reason for doing so, of course, um, they kind of explain the whole story, but then they say if you found GT to be a blemish on Dragon Ball, I would still recommend you to watch this movie. It was a slower story, true, but it was still Dragon Ball. And so I think people like I think one of the redeemable pieces about this movie is that it's a change of pace. I mean, how much more can you continue to like increase the power levels before it just doesn't it just it doesn't captivate you anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so this change of pace, it kind of breaks that mold, and I appreciate that. Um, and I think you know, like I said, a lot of people they like the movie. There's another one here, 10 out of 10. This is great. This is great. I really enjoyed it. It was funny. It proved a good point. The way Goku reacts when Pan gets sick is amazing. Um, the way he feels, it makes you feel like you're in the anime. And when Goku has to go on a journey to find the Dragon Balls, it's a great story. He said the reviewer here says he or she will not uh continue to blab, but you must go check it out. A plus. So like I said, I think I'm a little surprised initially because I thought GT was just so despised that all the reviews would be trash. But
Mhm.
hey man, it kind of hit with some people. But those that didn't like it, they hated it. You know what I'm saying? Like um there was almost no middle ground here. uh you know, it was like either you hate it or you really enjoyed it. But
Mhm.
you know, i'm uh I'm interested to see what our ratings are gonna be. But Lalito, we like to give a rating around here out of 7, right? Obviously
7 Dragon Balls.
representing the 7 Dragon Balls. So of course 7 being the best, 1 being the worst. um what would your rating be for this movie and why?
I'll give it a, see, I'm between a 5 and a 6. I
Okay.
think I'll stick to a 5.
You stick to the 5.
Stick to-
Why?
Yeah. The reason why is because I feel like the concept is that I wish they would have elaborated more on Puck, and Goku Junior's appearance to me was like, no, there was no need to. For me,
Mhm.
that was a big takeaway.
Yep. What about you, Chewing?
Uh, well, you know, I didn't really particularly like this film. I thought it was okay. I liked some aspects, which is like the darkness of it, kind of the some of the themes that they were kind of hidden on. Um, but I'm in between a 2 and a 3 right now. So I'm pretty low on the
Oof,
Wow.
scale. Yeah.
Wow.
So I what this reminds me of, it reminds me of Dragon Ball Evolution.
bro.
In regards to
Bro.
the story is not necessarily quite fleshed out. The It's the same concept, trying to find himself, but the antagonist is not there. So because I do appreciate them trying to start something new, but it still looks like Goku,
Mm,
which is another knock that I have on it. I think I'm gonna go with a 3 because I'm not like, I don't have that much, you know, knowledge about GT, so I can't really knock it that I'm confused because it's my own lack of knowing the series.
mhm,
So, but just as somebody with just fresh eyes, don't really know necessarily what's going on, I thought that they did a pretty poor job of orienting me.
mhm,
Um, and I think that I think that speaks to that, and that the fact that there's no antagonist, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes that they did here.
mhm,
The They don't have somebody to even if it's just somebody just parallel him, they don't even have to fight, but like at the like maybe towards the end there's something that leads us of like, this is who he's gonna embark on, and then on this new journey of like a hero's legacy, right? Like who is he gonna set who are we setting the stage up for, you know what I'm saying? um which I think would be which I think would benefit it. But you know, other than that, I thought the story was okay. So I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna stay at a 3 here.
a 3. Damn, dude, that Dragon Ball Evolution comparison was unwarranted, bro. That was
Like on this show, we said Dragon Ball Evolution. At least I didn't think Dragon Ball Evolution was bad. I thought it was. I mean, I gave it a 3, and I think this movie is a 3. I think they're both 3s. They both do exactly the same thing.
all right, all right. All right. I mean, I can definitely understand the gripes that you have with the movie, and for me, I'm gonna go with the 4, um, because I like the change of pace. I like them breaking away from the typical mold that they have, the template, you know, and it's refreshing in that sense. Um, but the things that hold it back, they're just a little too glaring for me to give it like a 5 or a 6, which I consider to be some of the higher scores. I think like making him look exactly like Goku, that hurts him, doesn't help him. I think not having a true antagonist, it there's no real foil there. And then some of the lack of explanation around certain things like Puck surviving, my God, or Puck just showing up randomly. But then the pieces that I really liked, Goku Jr. going on this journey, being much more human than he is Saiyan, like it makes him more relatable. Um, you know, what he's fighting for is a more realistic it's a much more realistic scenario than what we normally see, which is like the world's gonna explode because an alien's gonna take over it. It's his grandma that's gonna die. uh so there were redeemable pieces. I don't think this is like a don't watch type of movie. I think watch it, and you may end up liking it. So I'm gonna go with the 4. I think it was I would recommend folks to watch it for sure, for sure. um Well, Alito, before we go ahead and head on out, what'd you think? First time on here with us, just chatting shit. What'd you
It
think?
was I have to be honest with you, it was a dream come true.
Yep. Go ahead and share this with your family and friends,
Yeah,
bro.
I tell my family back in Mexico, hey, I'm gonna be in a podcast, just keep your
Oh,
eyes
you
on
made it.
you know. No, it was cool,
So somebody in Botswana is gonna become a Lalito fan. So
exactly.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like I'm listening to the coffee and interview because Lalito inspired me
there
To
you
just
go.
to watch GT.
yeah, exactly. So no, it was real nice. It was very cool. It's my first time being in a podcast, so I'm very excited. And yeah, man, I'm excited to be part of this history in the making.
Yeah, history in the making. That is what it is. Um, well, it was fun to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you
It's
for coming on.
for
Yeah, thank you for
sure.
inviting me. Those $4 investment it really paid off.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna see a crazy return right now. But nah, it was fun. It was fun having you on, man. It's always cool having like another perspective, especially you who likes GT, who's one of the like 5 people that do. I think it's
The
I think it's good to have you. It's good to have that perspective, and it was enjoyable. At least
only
that's how I
advice I would
feel.
give you guys is you gotta watch GT. Watch it, and then invite me again, and then we do a review of GT. But honestly, GT was is great. It's great because it's I loved it. Out of all, I love Cell. The Cell saga was amazing, but then GT was like right up there, for me.
Okay, well there you go.
We're
Watch it.
comparing
Watch it.
Cell,
No, I'm not comparing it. No, I'm just saying how.
arguably one of the best arcs in Dragon Ball Z
And then
to
to me,
GT.
GT is like right there,
right.
right next to each other.
Wow, I don't know, man. The Frieza arc is pretty nuts, dude. The Frieza arc's pretty nuts, bro.
Yeah.
Um, Vegeta dying, like, anyways, that's a conversation for
Yeah.
another time.
Yeah.
But should we wrap it up, Chewy? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Um, all right. Well, thank you for taking the time to listen to our episode today. We appreciate your listenership. We hope you enjoyed our guest. If you didn't, let us know. The last time we had a guest on here, there was there was some blowback, which is okay. But no, it was definitely a fun episode to record. We really enjoyed bringing you on, Lalito. It was a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoyed it as well. If you wherever you're listening to us from, and you know, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But as you know, you can follow us. We'll have our social media down in the description below in YouTube. You could listen to us on all the different podcast platforms, and let us know what you think. What did you think about the movie? Did you like it? Is it trash? Was it okay? What did you not like about it? What did you like about it? Let us know. We'd like to hear what you thought, and and yeah, we'll we'll keep bringing you guys more content, and until next week.